Hi, guys. It's Sven from Badass Counseling. So we created the Badass Counseling group on Facebook, and it grew to well over 45,000 members. And we kept getting asked by folks for a support group, a growth group that's more intimate, gives more access to me, Sven, if possible. So the Badass Counseling team got together, and they created Community Plus. For a monthly fee that isn't cheap, you get direct access to me 2 times a month where you can submit your questions directly. Monthly drawings for a small group counseling session with me. Monthly drawings for one-on-one counseling sessions with me. Priority Pass access to go to the front of the waiting list for ongoing counseling with me. Priority Pass access to be considered to be counseled by me on the Badass Counseling Show podcast. Direct access to my top 2 selling video courses, Healing the Soul and Unleashing Your Greatness. Interviews with people who've had success in their soul journey, some well-known and some everyday folks like you and me. And a fantastic opportunity to meet and get to know other men and women who take their healing and growth seriously and who do the work. And a social community feed where folks share their challenges, their struggles, and their triumph. And so much more. So go now to badasscounseling.com. Click on the Community Plus sign-up page for premium content and direct access to me and to like-minded people who are committed to healing, growth, and creating a community of support and happiness.
From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. Welcome to the Badass Counseling Show. It's great to have you here. You have reached us for a lightning round. On Thursdays, we do counseling episodes, but on Sundays, we release our lightning rounds every single week. Whether you are tuning in from Western Australia or Western Montana, perhaps you are on the French Riviera, or you are joining us from Central Florida, it's so great to have you with us. We do these episodes as a way to answer people's questions, to be available, to be free, and just hammer us with your questions. And we try to be available, my entire team. And Rob the Rocket next to me, we'll get to him in a second. He doctors them all up, edits all my silly ums and ahs, and makes it presentable to provide resources for those who are trying to heal and transform. Not just heal, but transform and grow and have the happy life of sense of purpose and power and results and moving forward that we all crave, that sense of aliveness. So that's why we're here. I'm joined by KC in the booth and Rob the Rocket sitting next to me. Rob, what say ye?
I'm inspired already, and let me say I am authentically doing well. Operative word, authentically. Did you see what I did there?
No, I didn't see what you did there.
I said authentically.
That is an important word to Rob today. He's making that.
And to all.
To all of us at all times. And so what we're going to do, Rob, is we're going to dive right in. All right. I've got 2 questions coming at me right away from TikTok, and they are opposites of each other. It's sort of. Kayla M on TikTok says, any advice? Struggling with recently cutting off my only living parent, mom, as an only child. Right on top of that is Delana Thompson, TikTok, saying, my oldest son has cut she means to say me, my oldest son has cut me out of his life with 0 explanation. I'm broken. Now what? Now, isn't this fascinating? Literally right together, right there. And there are a lot of people doing this nowadays, and a lot of older folks especially say this is a fucking pandemic. What is going on with society and all these kids cutting people out of their lives? The thing is, in my counseling practice, it's not just kids that are doing it. It's actually, I'm seeing more of this from people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, even into their 60s, doing it. Makes you wonder why. See, it's very, very difficult for a child to cut a parent out of their life. And by child, I mean a 50-year-old child. I mean an 18-year-old child. Very difficult. As I talked about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, the child, and this is like a sacrilege. This is anathema, to use religious terms. I'm a former clergyman. It is anathema for a parent to try to get their fucking head around this. Children love parents more than parents love children. And once you begin to understand that, and I simply like to invert it, a child will endure far more at the hands of a parent than a parent would ever endure at the hands of a child. Now, that's not always just because of love, but that's how desperately that child wants to love and be connected to that parent, that a child will endure so much. That bond, that desire to be connected, to give and to receive with that parent is so great that they'll go to hell and back. So for a child, be they 22 or 51, for them to get to the point of cutting off a parent, it has to be really fucking bad. But what so many parents don't understand, what so many people just observing the phenomenon don't understand, and what so many kids who are actually, and by kids, I mean kids who are 51, being older than that, approaching 60, I can say that. Because if I had a 51-year-old little brother or little sister, yeah, I'd call him a little peckerhead kid, all right? Because that's what big brothers do. Anyway, big sisters too. I've got one. Whatever age they are, what they don't understand is not just the desire that they have to have a relationship with them, and not just the pain that was caused to them as a child, as a teenager, but the missing piece is the damage that continues to be done by there not being atonement for the original sin, the original crime, the original belief system that the parent embedded into the child. And I'm not saying the parent ever intended to do it. See, it's two things. There are two offenses going on here. One is what happened in childhood, and the other is what hasn't happened since. And the living, breathing parent today has control over the one that's happened since. They can actually go back and correct and rectify and own and atone for the pain that they caused that child, even if it was unintentional. If I'm driving my car in a Minnesota winter, I'm originally from Minnesota, or in a New York City winter, or if I'm up in Boston visiting Michelle, or if I'm out in Southwest, Montana, and you're driving, and you're even driving under the speed limit because it's not just snowing, but it's like it's been icy, and you hit a patch of black ice, and you slide into the car in front of you, and you smash their fender and their bumper and their back quarter panels. If you do that damage, it was not intentional. You are in fact being safe. Nonetheless, you are responsible for that harm, that damage caused to that car. In most states in the United States, and I remember because it happened to me when I was living in Ohio, if you hit somebody from behind, you're responsible instantly. Boom, by law. It used to be in Ohio. You are responsible. They will say you should have been further back. You should have gone slower. Blah, 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 blah. The point is, whether or not the parent intentionally intended to do the harm was done, and you are still responsible for the harm you cause. If I'm walking around in a crowd and, let's say I step back to avoid something, to get out of the way of something, and as I step back, I step onto the foot of a 13-year-old kid, and the kid is like some 90-pound girl, and I just basically crushed your foot. I am responsible for what I did. And I do owe her an apology. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, etc. I'm responsible. I did that. Intentional or not, accident or not. We're responsible for the pain we cause in life. So the crime being committed by the parent isn't just what was done in the past, what was felt, what was experienced by the child in the past, but there's been no atonement, no owning of that since, because it can be rectified. We have so many adults, so many people coming into my office, so many people coming to me for counseling or on our counseling episodes of the show, who what they are longing for is that relationship, even at 70, even at 50, even at 30, longing for that connection with the parent. So that means that parent who is now 70 or 80 or 90 still has an opportunity to heal their adult child, still has an opportunity to heal. And the fact that they're not says that the original crime is now being made worse. So back to the original two questions. And this was a very long explanation, but this is such a hot issue right now. So if you are struggling with, Kayla asked, Any advice? I'm struggling with recently cutting off my only living parent as an only child. That was an extremely difficult decision for you, Kayla. I know that. All right? And so if you are struggling, what that means is you are likely feeling sadness of being, you said, and you had to throw in as an only child, which implies I have no other family, right? Maybe extended family, whatever. She was my living, breathing connection to my childhood. She was my most immediate person, right? And now I am, what does that imply? Alone, right? So you're feeling aloneness, probably feeling guilt, like I'm a bad girl, I'm a bad daughter, I'm responsible for her, or I'm whatever. You've got a massive amount of feelings inside of you. And any advice? Yeah, pen, paper, start writing. Write your mom about 47,000 fucking letters of all your love, all your longing, all your desire for connection, all your hate, all your anger, all your disappointment, all your sadness, all your everything. Flush and flush and flush. Because all the things that are cause you to say you're struggling, those are all feelings. I'm assuming it's not financial. And if it is, then start journaling about all your thoughts and all your feelings regarding that and start creating solutions. All right? And I'm not a financial advisor, so that's not really up my alley. But the bottom line is that struggle is all those feelings. Get those feelings out of you and you will begin to calm down inside. Because you made that decision even knowing it would be a hard decision. And so now get all the pain out of you and you will still have greater clarity and you'll have a greater sense of peace in this very difficult decision that you have made. Now, flipping it over to Delana Thompson, who said, my oldest son has cut me out of his life with zero explanation. I'm broken. Now what? Excellent. So now we got to look at the flip side, which for some is the harder part. Well, fuck, I'm the parent. I'm on the receiving end. What the fuck did I do wrong? What am I supposed to do here? No explanation. All right. What I would encourage you to do, first of all, every Christmas since 2023, I post on Christmas, and I don't even know why, just randomly. I post a video. You can get it. You're watching me right now on TikTok. It's over on Instagram. Those are the easiest too because you have thumbnails and they're easy to scroll through. Scroll back to December 24th, I believe it was, 2025, the Christmas we just had. It's titled something like seven things you can do to help your adult child heal. And it's a step-by-step checklist of things you can do. But even before you watch that video, you want to know what you can begin to do? It's not about going to that child. That child obviously wanted to cut off connection. So you going right now trying to make connection without having created the tools and without having done something of significant introspection on your own, the child will rebuff you. They're saying, I don't want to be near you right now. And you need to respect that. Otherwise, you are fundamentally going into override saying, I don't want what you want. I'm going to force my will onto you, which is ultimately confirming exactly what they're saying. This is why I don't like you, Mom. This is why I don't want to be around you. You don't see me. It's all about your fucking agenda. And I don't even know what your son's complaint was, and you don't even know what it is. But you overriding their agenda because it hurts, and you are hurting right now. I fucking guarantee you that. And you're probably mad as fuck or sad as fuck. Disappointed, confused, bewildered, destabilized, all those things would be normal responses to that situation. But what you can do, what you can begin to do is go into, start writing down, get a pen and paper and make a bullet point list of every single, and I know this is going to sound insane, okay? Make a bullet point list, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to hurt, of every single complaint your son has ever had towards you, ever. And some of them are going to be silly, like that time you didn't take the fucking crusts off his peanut butter sandwich and you said, just eat it, whatever. Anything. Start to begin to listen to the words that he has spoken to you in the past. A very good friend of mine, it's a young man, and he has cut off his father. And I happen to know the father very well, and I've been in conversations. It's like, well, why won't the son even fucking go to counseling with me so that we can work it out together? And I said, because I've heard you literally overrun your son in conversations, and you want to be able to talk your way out of it. And the one superpower your son has right now is to cut you out because you don't listen when he does talk. So the idea of going into therapy to him likely sounds totally fucking pointless. And he said, well, how can I go into therapy? How would I know what to work on? And I said to him, well, first of all, an experienced therapist would begin to poke around and dig around and force you to ask questions. But also what you can do is just look at all the things he has said to you and start to look at those and consider that maybe they're true. Because when you're in person, you reject his complaints towards you. You just outright reject them. So you sit down and begin to list now, okay, all of your son's complaints, and I'm back to you, Delaney, Delana, start to list all of your son's complaints toward you. Just list every single one and then begin to journal. And what I want you to journal on each one of those, first off, is why your son is absolutely fucking wrong. Get it out of your system. As mom would say, just get it out of your system. Just get it out of your system, all right? And write him a letter if you want that you do not send, do not send, do not send. That won't help anything. Write a letter and flush it all out. So let that be your first thing. And flush it all out, all the anger at him. Fuck you, you little peckerhead. You don't know shit from Shinola, blah, blah, blah. And then start to journal or say to him, first of all, you can say, I'm sorry I did that, blah, blah, blah. But you need to journal on that. You need to really sit with it before you jump to the I'm sorry parts. You need to journal on, well, what was going on inside of me? How was that not okay? How would I feel if that was said to me? Rob, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge on YouTube, Roxy and Erica and Metroid, Mayhem, and Soul Search all have very similar questions, and I believe you are addressing them. Just want to make sure I acknowledge them.
Okay, thank you for those questions. And if one of you really is like, you feel like I'm missing your question as it relates to this, fire it by Rob, and he'll send it my way, okay? So Delana, I would recommend that bullet point list and start with, again, things he has said. Because the truth is, I want you to think about something totally different. And it looks like we're staying on these two questions for a bit here. Tracy Haynes over on Facebook, I do have your question saved. I'm going to come to that after a bit, but I want to hit these first. Think of it like this, you guys. Let's take it totally out of the parental being shoved out by a kid, whatever. Let's take it out of that realm. Let's look at separation and divorce. All right? A totally different situation. And let's just say a woman comes to her husband. They've been married 15 years or 25 years. Can be any amount. Let's just say 15 years. And she comes to her husband and she says, you know what? I have been telling you for the last 10 years about what I need in this relationship, and you don't give a shit. And I'm just exhausted. I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to change one more diaper. I'm not going to take, the cans out to the street anymore for the garbage. I'm not going to mow the lawn one more time. I am sick of this. I am not going to cook one more meal for you. You're not trying. Or maybe it's, I'm tired of being overrun in conversations. I'm tired of not feeling heard. You don't take any of my advice. You control everything, whatever it is. I've been telling you. And it could go the other way. Gender is irrelevant. I've been telling you, and you're not listening to me. And then she's finally reached what I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, the fuck it point, where the pain has gotten so bad that all of a sudden she has the courage to do what just yesterday she didn't have the courage to do. All of a sudden she has the clarity to do what just yesterday she didn't have the clarity to do. And she finally begins the divorce proceedings. And it is then, this is the critical juncture of the story. It is then that all of a sudden he's like, oh, sweet Jesus, Lord Almighty, I've changed. Oh, Lordy, I am going to therapy. And honey, tell me all about your day. I want to hear everything. And I'm out mowing. Did you see how many times I've mowed in the last 3 weeks? And oh yeah, and all of a sudden he's changed. And you want to believe, well, maybe he has changed. It's like, no, fuck that shit. I've been telling you this shit for years, motherfucker. And you changed now? You have just confirmed for me how little I matter to you. But I'm doing all the stuff. How does that mean I don't matter to you? You don't matter to me. I don't get it. How does that show it? Because you're only doing it now when you stand to lose something. You stand to lose me perpetually pouring love into your love cup. You don't want me. You want the perks. You could have changed. If you changed that quickly, that tells me you could have changed 3 months ago. Ass face. You could have changed 3 years ago. You could have changed 10 years ago. It means you heard me the whole time. Okay. But the point of the story is I've been telling you and telling you and telling you, and you haven't been listening. Or you just haven't been acting on it. That my words as your wife aren't important enough for you to act on them. Okay. Now let's let's overlay that onto many children, such as this friend of mine, this young man, who pushed his father out of his life. What he was fundamentally saying to the father was saying to me, how do I know? He won't even tell me what the problem is. And I say, is it possible he's been telling you for years? and you haven't been listening because you don't want to hear the truth. So that's my challenge to you, Delana. My challenge to you is to sit down and ask yourself, maybe your son has already been communicating it in full-throated fury and sadness. Maybe, and I could be wrong, okay? I could be wrong. I put that out there right away. Maybe you haven't been listening, or it hurt too much to hear, or you had other stuff going on, or whatever. But I guarantee at some point the kid was making his needs known, or if he wasn't, that's an indicator of how loud all the other voices are in his own life that he is receiving, that it drowns out his own voice, or he doesn't even feel safe speaking it. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll come right back.
Okay, well, you've heard the podcast, you've listened to other people's issues, maybe you've studied hundreds of Sven's TikTok videos. Time to stop lurking, face your fears, and focus directly on the one person in your life who can benefit the most from Sven's experience and insight. Now, that would be you. Just go to badasscounseling.com and order Sven's book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Or check out his many video courses. Sven found a way to help himself out of a 12 years depression. It worked for him, and it can work for you too. Check out badasscounseling.com today.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with the Badass Counseling Show. We have spent a good chunk of the time talking about cutting off parents, and it can be at 63, it can be at 18. The pain on all sides is the same, regardless of age. All right. I've had two people check in here. Kay on TikTok saying, freshly getting to know a biological father after 36 years at my own pace, he feels entitled to rush the pace. Well, got news for you, Kay. You are at least a 50% player in that equation. Go at your own fucking pace. It's just like anything else. It's just like anything else. Go at your pace. And if you don't assert that control over your own fucking life, then he's going to. And then you are allowing a flawed relationship. Don't do it. And I know you already know that. I'm not trying to insult you, okay? But just giving you the hoorah and hold your boundaries. CJ Basquez says, I have cut off a parent because they could not respect my boundaries. Slight correction there, CJ. You say they could not respect my boundaries. No, they chose not to. Can't respect a boundary? Really? Do they stay inside the lanes when they drive on the highway? Oh, they can respect lanes, can respect boundaries. And they follow up and say, just an attempt would gain so much ground. It would. So they're fundamentally saying, I don't give a shit, which is confirmation of likely what you've already known, that they truly don't care. We're going to flip here. We're going over to Tracy on Facebook. I promised you, Tracy, that I would get to your question. And hey, look at us. Here we are. All right, Tracy. Here's the question. She says, what do you do when your partner says he's, quote unquote, she puts in quotes, joking, but it really hurt you and he didn't say it was a joke until hours later, after he knew just how much it hurt, and you talked to him about it before? I love that question. You want to know why I love this question? Because saying you're joking is such fucking bullshit. Such bullshit. You want to know why? And you sort of excuse it by saying he didn't really say he was joking till hours later. It doesn't matter when he said it. If you're saying things that are hurting someone, even jokingly, fucking stop. I'm in a relationship with my girlfriend. We've been together for 12 years. And one of the things that she said early in our relationship is she said, Sven, both of us, she didn't say you, Sven. She said both of us. You know what we're doing wrong, Sven? I said, what? She said, we're teasing each other too much. We both love to tease and kid around. And we're both very playful. It's very important in my relationships, and it is to her as well. But we were taking it too far. She was hurting me. I was hurting her. And so we've both scaled back. It's not okay to hurt another person. I don't care if the fuckery is in the form of quote unquote joking. It hurts. What the joking thing is, it's an ex post facto exoneration of the crime. It is saying after the fact, hey, you're the problem. Why are you getting all upset? I was just joking. I'm innocent. You're the problem, is what your fucking husband is saying. or your partner is saying. You're the problem. You don't understand. I was joking, therefore I'm off the hook. Go fuck yourself and your feelings. Whereas the appropriate response, you already know what the appropriate response is, don't you, Tracy? The appropriate response is in a good relationship, in a solid relationship. And this isn't even a great relationship. This is just like basics. This is like an elementary core level relationship. You know, people talk about work your core. It didn't exist back in the 80s. We didn't talk like that. We just said, do your fucking sit-ups. All right. But if you want to work your core in a relationship, do you want to know what is core when it comes to relationships? Apologies. Owning your shit. I do not get in any sort of relationship with any human being unless I'm doing work for them if they won't apologize for their shit. Because I will apologize for my shit, even if it's hard and ugly. You have someone who doesn't want to apologize, and they're not gonna, which means they are going to keep themselves safe at the expense of you. That is the nature of your relationship. That means there's a power imbalance. I'm going to protect me at the expense of you, and as a result, at the expense of our relationship. I am more important than you and than this relationship. That is what is fundamentally being said. That is the underlying message in your relationship, in that interaction with your partner. All right. Oh, you said, what do? You call it out and you say, I don't care. Don't hurt me. Don't fucking hurt me. Joking is not an excuse. I don't care. I don't care. Do not hurt me. And when you do hurt me, you need to apologize. And just cut right through all the, cut through all the bullshit. You have 1 point, 2 points actually. Don't hurt me. And when you do hurt me, you apologize. That's it. You just keep coming back to that point because everything else is blather. Everything else is cover up. Everything else is him attempting to create a power imbalance in which you are the subject and he is the king. Again, gender has nothing to do with this. This could be any type of couple, okay? And as long as you submit to that bullshit, you are choosing to be the subordinate in a relationship in which clearly you shouldn't be a subordinate. At the very least, it should be equal, but clearly this fucker doesn't know how to engage in benevolent leadership, does he? Obviously. All right, next question. I'm getting a ton of questions.
A lot of comments about this topic, people talking to each other.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is such a hot topic right now. This bitch here on TikTok says, regarding the question we were just talking about.
What? That's the name?
That's her name. Yeah, I love that.
It sounded like you were calling her that.
No way. No way. But anybody who calls himself that, I have no problems calling her.
I'm teasing.
Cool
I'm
bitch.
kidding.
No,
I'm joking.
Of course. I'm having fun with it. This bitch here says, regarding the woman I was just talking to about, hurting people and saying you're joking. This bitch here says, hurt people don't have to hurt people. Break those chains. And we've all heard the phrase hurt people, but this bitch here is throwing a twist onto that. Hurt people don't have to hurt people. In other words, it's like you're living a higher quality existence. They know they don't have to, and they walk more gently through life. I love that. I love that spin on it. That was really nice. I like that. And someone here says, sort of picking up on what we were discussing earlier about children and parents, mom says, quote, sorry for whatever I did to you, end quote, but doesn't understand what hurt me. Yeah, sorry for whatever I did. I don't know what I did. Don't really care. Don't want to talk about it, but sorry. By the way, do you want mustard on your sandwich? What the fuck?
It's kind of a blanket pardon.
It's not even, it's just a nothing. It's a 50-cent apology for a $5,000 crime. It's like, fuck you, Mom. Really? Really? Could you possibly less cleverly tell me you don't give a fuck? It's like, yeah, that's someone who doesn't want to, and you don't really ask a question, but the bottom line is, as the adult kid, even if you're 47 and you're going through this with your parent, you're still wanting something. And one of the things that I challenge my clients or people that I would talk with about this issue of cutting off a parent is I say, are you really cutting them off? Let's get really nitty gritty, really fucking granular here. Are you really cutting them off, or is this distancing from them a shot across the bow? Naval term. You shoot a shot across the bow of a ship that you're basically telling them to shut the fuck down and go back, or I'm going to blow you out of the fucking water. So it's a warning shot. So is this distancing from the parent in your case? I'm not talking specifically to this person. I'm talking to anyone doing this. Are you genuinely cutting them off el permanento? Or is this just a warning shot? Because if it's a warning shot, what you are saying is the underlying message is, I still want a relationship with you and I am leaving a crack in the door. The door is still open. You still have a chance, but I'm getting even more serious. It's like the spouse who says, I want a separation. I'm sick of you not listening to me. I'm sick of you not taking my advice. I'm sick of you, whatever, and I want a separation. They didn't file for divorce yet. They want a separation. They are saying, you still got a shot. What are you going to do with your opportunity? Right. But what that also tells me about the person sending that message, the adult child, is they still long for something. They are still operating fundamentally from a position of weakness. That when we dig down, we discover that adult child still believes that they need that approval, need that acceptance in order to feel whole as a person, in order to have that inner peace that they're seeking. That's what we have to break. And if you still want to have a relationship with your parent, have a fucking relationship with your parent. I don't give a shit. But if you're holding on because you need something in you healed, that you believe only the parent can heal, that's the mistake. Because you don't need them to heal it. And then one last one on this. Heal Boo says, or He El Boo says, what does the adult child do if they refuse to heal and grow? If the parent refuses to heal and grow, and that's just it. You're holding on. What am I supposed to do? I'm holding on to my parent and they don't want to do anything. And by them not doing anything, or sometimes they even say, oh, well, so whatever I did, sorry, or I didn't do anything wrong, or whatever it is, they're basically punching you in the face. You keep holding on to their collar and they're still punching you in the face. What am I supposed to do? They refuse to heal and grow. What are you supposed to do? Let go of their collar. And see, that's the problem, isn't it? You're terrified to let go of their collar. Why would you be terrified to let go of their collar? Because that means you will never get that connection you want. But what is it inside that connection you want? You want them to give you love. You want them because that love is confirmation of your worth. You're wanting them to give you that approval or that acceptance you've always been seeking. And if you had that acceptance, then you would feel what? Then I'd feel fulfilled. Then what? Well, then I wouldn't forever be trying to get people to like me. I wouldn't have to forever be putting on this sort of act, or I wouldn't have to work so hard. I could begin to relax. I could begin to just be myself. I could live out in the world as myself. I could have some peace inside. I could have a sense of self-worth. I could finally do what I want with my life. So you're fundamentally saying at the root, if you dig down into all of this, what you're discovering is I can't really even begin my life until I get that approval. So I need that connection. That's why I'm holding on to mom and dad's collar. It's because I need them to give me that approval, that connection, that love, because that is confirmation of my worth. And until I get that from them, I can't even begin to be who I really am, which I don't even really fucking know who I really am, but I can't even start that until I get them to see me and understand me and appreciate me and love me. You believe that your happiness is tied up in them. And when you were 5, it was. When you are 45, it's not. And here's one little thing on that. Do you know that when they run the New York City Marathon, the race starts at 8:20 a.m. on a Sunday? And do you know when the very last person crosses the starting line? Not the finish line, the starting line. Race starts, first person crosses the starting line at 8:20. Do you want to know when the last person crosses the starting line? Roughly 11:20. It takes 3 hours. That's what it takes to get tens of thousands of people, runners, champion runners, walkers, disabled and chairs and all that across the starting line, 3 hours. Well, that's what your life has been because you've been waiting, whoever you are. And now I'm not just talking to Hiel Boo. I'm talking to anyone who's in this situation, that you have been holding on to your parents' collar, waiting for that approval, that acceptance, that love, that connection, because then you could have hope, then you could have peace, then you could have a sense of self. Then you could cross the starting line of your life and begin to live it as you are, but you're still waiting for them to sort of give you your running shorts and your number, and I see you. Here is your name. Here, I see you. I understand you, to confirm that you even exist before you can even begin your life. And what I'm saying is you don't need it from them. That's why I say, so many people say, well, my parent died. How am I supposed to fucking do it? Yeah, I said, you don't need your parent in order to heal. Rob, you were going to say something?
Interesting angle from Andrea, who says, by not cutting off my mother, I'm learning how to be a better mother to my children, so I really have to thank her for showing me what not to do.
Sure, understood, but I would still challenge you, Andrea, and that's great. I think that's fantastic. But I would still challenge you. I would push you to go deeper. Is there another reason? What's the real reason you're holding on to your mother? Is it because you are still wanting something from her? And maybe you aren't. Maybe you aren't. Maybe that's just a red herring. But if you are still wanting something from her, then you are redeeming the situation by drawing some sort of, it's like drawing good from a bad situation. And that's great. It's great that you have that ability. However, why are you doing it? And if you are doing it because you're still needing something. And remember, anytime I want something from someone, they have the power to make me miserable by withholding it. And if you are still wanting it, that means she is withholding it. And that means you're operating in your life from a position of weakness, from a position of emptiness, from a position of I'm not complete, I'm not good enoughness. And that bleeds, of course, onto our children and stuff. But I'm glad you're redeeming that situation. That's fantastic. All right, we're going to take a couple more here. I've got one here. This is from Spencer over on Facebook. What should I do if a friend who is my roommate doesn't set boundaries and people pleases me all the time? Literally never says no. So I never know where the line is for her, although I am respectful and always ask, but she never answers. She stays in what seems to be freeze response, and I've mentioned it multiple times over the last year and a half. What should you do? The interesting thing about that question, Spencer, is you don't really say why you dislike it. You're wanting to know where the boundaries are and so forth, but why? What fundamentally? I guess the question would be, how does that make you feel? Because it sounds like it makes you feel disoriented. It sounds like it makes you feel something, but there's obviously something extremely uncomfortable about this. But why is this a bad situation? But in a way, it doesn't even matter. You obviously don't like it. You've told her multiple times over the last year and a half. Clearly, she hasn't changed it. And clearly, it still bugs you. So what that means, and this is such a fantastic lesson to learn in life, you are discovering, as I tell people all the time, the path to discovering who you are requires discovering who you are not. And you are discovering something you don't like. And that's wonderful. You are discovering something you don't want in a partner or in a roommate or in someone near you. You don't want someone who can't say no. I want people who can say no. I want people who have boundaries of their own. So you're not even asking her to respect your boundaries. Isn't this an interesting twist, guys? I'm wanting someone who has boundaries of their own. Now, I actually get that because I come from people who are like, I'm just always serving. I'm always giving and no, whatever you want, whatever you want. It's just like, Sven, could you be any more of a fucking, spineless turd? So I get that. I get exactly what you're saying there, Spencer. And at some point, when someone does not heed our needs, our wants, not that she exists to serve you. I mean, that's your whole point. You don't exist to serve me. But when it grows uncomfortable enough and there's no change, eventually we walk away. And it sucks and it's hard, but it sounds like you may be approaching that point.
Andrea agrees with you, by the way, and says, still pushing for her acknowledgement. I'm even her caretaker, believing we will come together at some point. Mm-hmm. She's 87, I'm 65. That's a tough one.
Wait, say that one again.
Andrea, who you said you still want something. Remember, she said, I'm still pushing for her acknowledgement. I'm even her caretaker, believing we will come together at some point.
Yeah, and I see this a lot. And I'd even be willing to bet, if we rolled the dice here a bit, Andrea, I'd be willing to bet if you had siblings, you were the one of your other siblings was potentially the golden child or the more beloved child, if there were any beloved children, and you were the most shit on or the most ignored child, right? Because very often, not always, but very often, that's the child that when in their 50s and 60s is the one taking care of the parent, still longing for that acknowledgement, still longing that today's the day that dad says, my son, you are the son in whom I am well pleased. Thank you so much for all you've done. I'm so sorry for what I've done. Or in your case, mom saying to daughter, I love you so much. I was such a shit, or you've done so much for me. You are still hoping that you wake up and today is the day that you hear those magical words, Andrea. You are still waiting for mom to set you free from the belief system that you don't matter, that you aren't enough, that you aren't lovable just the way you are. You're still hoping. That's why you're doing all of this. Deep down, you are still seeking the very thing that you should have fucking gotten when you were 3 years old, confirmation of your worth. And you are still trying to buy that confirmation. That if I just do more, then it's not just seeing me. That's seeing me. That feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling understood. What that is that your existence matters. We're not just talking about you're good or you're bad. We're talking about you exist. So this is an existential issue. Versus you, the only reason you would exist is because you're serving me versus who you are. Yeah, that's why you're holding on. You still, and the flaw in the belief system is you still believe that she holds the key to the jail cell that she locked you in and your father locked you into, 60 years ago. And it's the one on which every bar is inscribed with, I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable the way I am. I don't really matter. I'm not wantable. All those bars. Those beliefs that you were taught to believe about yourself, whether explicitly or implicitly, have kept you caged the entire time. You not being your authentic self because you were taught it wasn't good enough. It wasn't wanted. So you became whatever you had to become to either get that love and approval that you wanted or to at the very least avoid the criticism. But here's the thing. Those bars on that jail cell, they were never real to begin with. They don't exist. You've been waiting for the key. Mom has the magic key in her 80-whatever-year-old apron. You've been waiting for her to come and take the key out of her apron and unlock it with her words of, I love you, I miss you, I was a shit, whatever. I see you, whatever it is. But the jail cell doesn't exist. It was a myth, a chimera. It was a set of lies taught to a child, and the lies were never true to begin with. It couldn't possibly have been true. What 3-year-old or 7-year-old isn't enough? What 9-year-old is intrinsically unlovable? Not wantable. That doesn't even make sense. It literally doesn't exist since the beginning of humanity. You were taught a lie. And you believe that she is the only one who has the power to get you out of prison. And it's simply not true. She was the one that put you in the prison and has no interest in taking you out of a prison that doesn't even exist, except by her words that she taught a little girl. And until you can fully wrap your head around that and begin to purge all the feelings that go with it and purge the fucking rage and the implications of you motherfucking stole 60 years of my life, Mom. Fuck you. And Dad, fuck you too for letting that happen or whatever his role was. All the anger, all the sadness, all the pain, all the loss, all the guilt, whatever. All of that has to come out.
Andrea says, 9 brothers and sisters. I am the oldest daughter, and you are so, many zeros, correct.
Yeah, Andrea. And I was the youngest of 6. And I know what it is to be forgotten. But the one on top is you basically probably had to become the other parent, right? And so you probably had some measure of your childhood stripped from you, et cetera, et cetera. You were trained to just work, and never seen. And so your authentic self was thrown away immediately. You were engaged in the work of the house, which you had never fucking signed up for. And now you seeking her acknowledgement is bullshit. What you did was beyond admirable. You contributed to the team, but that was never your role to begin with. You were a fucking child. You were taught a load of horse shit about yourself, and it was horse shit. And I am just willing to bet, Andrea, that if you had kids, you probably didn't teach your kids those messages, did you? No. You probably raised them very differently, didn't you? Yeah. And why? Because you remember how much it fucking hurt. And by you doing it differently, that is an implicit acknowledgement of how shitty their parenting was, right? Boom. Next question. All right, we're going to take just maybe one more here. Rob's giving me the finger, not the middle finger, though. One more finger.
I held up all 5.
All right. Carrie Ann on TikTok asks a question that we haven't had in a while, and it's a good one. I like it. Tricky little devil, slippery little one. Not Carrie Ann, her question. Carrie Ann asks, how do I help my adult, 23, son get away from an abusive relationship with his girlfriend? She's crew. Now, I don't know the slang. Crew, C-R-U. Anybody want to clue me in on that one? I would appreciate it. What crew?
Cruel.
Maybe it's cruel. Maybe that's what it is. And she just got cut off because on TikTok, you're only allowed so many letters. She's cruel. All right. My 23-year-old son, how do I help him get away from an abusive relationship with his girlfriend? She's cruel. Now, we have a few things operating here. The first thing I would ask you is, Is it physical violence being committed against your son? Is he physically in danger? I have been in two domestic violence relationships where there was domestic violence being committed against me. And this is not right what I did, but because I'm a very large man and they were very small women, I didn't fear for my life or anything, but it was wrong what they were doing. It was intrinsically wrong, because why the fuck should they get to express their anger physically when I don't get to express my anger physically? But if he is in danger physically, then you grab him by the fucking hair and you drag him the fuck out of there, or you call the police if there is physical fucking danger. Of course, you mentioned an abusive relationship with his girlfriend. I'm willing to bet you mean emotionally, verbally abusive. That's what I'm willing to bet. If that be true, if I've characterized it accurately, then if I'm being completely honest, you ask, what can I do to get him away from her? And the answer is not a goddamn thing in the short term. Okay? And there is a long-term answer. And unfortunately, you have to play the long term. And the long term is simply this. Sometimes a fever has to be heightened before it breaks. Sometimes the pain has to get worse. My clients get sick of hearing me saying, some of you who are regular followers, maybe you've heard me say this a million times. And where I say, change will not occur until the pain gets bad enough. Your son's pain has not gotten bad enough. His conditioning is such, and this is where you really got to look at yourself here, Carrie Ann. I'm not trying to be a dick here. Why is your son's conditioning such that he's been conditioned to take it and take it and take it and take it? Where did he learn that behavior model to eat shit? That's what's going on here. One of the you guys have maybe seen the videos I've done on this or heard me talk about it. One of the single biggest differences between unhappy people and happy people is how they define strength. Unhappy people define strength as, oh, I can take it. It's no big deal. I can handle it. It's nobody. I can take more. And they take it and they take it and they eat shit and they take it more and more and more. Happy people define strength as no. That's all. No, I'm not going to take it. Back the fuck off. I'm not going to eat any more shit. That is the fundamental difference. And your son defines strength inside of himself, whether he's cognizant of it or not, as I can take it. And he's just eating it and eating it. And what that tells me is your son is operating from a point of profound weakness. That he is terrified of losing this girl, that he so desperately wants her love, her confirmation of worth. There we are, back to that one again. Her confirmation of worth so desperately that he will even take her abuse. That's how little your son thinks of himself. Now, you've got to ask yourself the question, where the fuck did he get this? Why does my son have such a low sense of self that he's allowing this sort of fucking behavior? So what you can do if you want to play the long term here, okay? Stay with me here, Carrie Ann, because this is going to require some humility, okay? The truth is our children, mine are in their 30s, get their shit from us, their parents. And my children have had shit that I've had to atone for. And my door is always open to that conversation with either or both my kids and my in-laws, my daughters-in-law, and hell, my grandkids, okay? But they have gotten messages from us that are causing them to act in certain ways. Your son is eating all this shit because he doesn't believe in himself. He is terrified of losing this woman. He really loves her. He's holding on with a very tight grip to the point of it hurting him. And he doesn't care. That's how desperate. He thinks he needs her to confirm his worth. Okay? And so what you can do is you can begin to do the work on looking at your own self, not just your parenting, but your own self and how your own crud from your life and your childhood impacted your parenting. So I'm taking you way back to the beginning here. Because if you can look at your own shit and how your shit from your own childhood and your own belief system and your own feelings and values, good and bad, impacted your parenting, then you can begin to see how you might have hurt your son. Stay with me here. And because once I can begin to look at how I might have hurt my son or impacted his value system such that he's eating shit on the daily at 23 years old from a woman and holding on so fucking tightly, if you can do that, then what you can do is you can go to your son and rather than saying, get away from that girl, she's abusive, which he's not going to do. He's going to do the opposite. And now you've just kicked yourself out of the family. You've triangulated yourself out of their lives. All right. That frontal approach is the worst. It's the dumbest fucking approach. It never works. What does work is just the opposite. You coming to your son on your own, just the two of you, and you beginning to start the process of atonement for what you have done to harm your son, to undermine him, cause him to question himself, cause him to doubt his confidence, which requires, though, you can't just make this shit up out of thin air. You have to do the research on you first to find out what might have caused you to hurt your son, then look at what you might have done to your son, then go to your son and begin to ask him or tell him, I think I've done all these things to hurt you, and I'm really fucking sorry, and there's no excuse. You are good. I just got done talking to Andrea over on YouTube. Andrea is in her 60s, still trying to win the approval of her 80-something-year-old mom. Even in our 60s, Andrea, literally minutes ago, is living, breathing proof that desire to connect with a parent never goes away. And so this woman in your 23-year-old son's life is a living, breathing avatar, surrogate for you and for his father. He's trying to get that love that wasn't filled back there, and he so desperately wants it that he's willing to endure an abusive relationship. Andrea has been enduring an abusive, neglectful relationship from her own mother into her 60s. This shit doesn't stop just because he's going to get this particular girl out of his life. The girl isn't the problem, per se. The problem is that he's allowing this. And he's going to allow it in his next relationship if we don't fix the root core of the problem. What's the root core of the problem? Is there something intrinsically flawed with your son? No. It's that he was conditioned to believe that he's shit, that he's not lovable just the way he is, which is why he's going so overboard, taking the punches. So you, just like Andrea's mother has the power to heal it, so does Andrea, but you have the power to heal your son. Not by saying how bad the wife is, but by saying how you have failed. Boy, you have the brass balls to do that. You get the gold motherfucking star of mothering. And you will help your son heal, and he will change because now he has healed. You have taken his love cup and you have begun the process of pulling out the rocks and the manure that you put in there. And all of a sudden, his capacity to love himself increases because it's no longer filled with those self-loathing messages. Rob, did you want to say something there? Did I see you?
No, I'm just taking it all in. This has been really interesting. A lot of detailed questions today.
Good. Well, listen, folks, that was the last of our questions. This was really so not where we normally go with the show. Normally, we try to get through a full batch of disparate, very different questions. And in today's show, we hovered around one primarily. We had a few other good ones thrown in, some which actually related to, like Andrew's question over that. Well, no, this one here at the end, they were all sort of in that, not all of them, but many of them, in that sort of ballpark. That's how hot a button it is. And I just want to reemphasize one point, folks, and that is, regardless of the child's age, and so many people want to say, oh, this fucking generation, these fucking what letter are we on now, Z? These Gen Z kids and these goddamn millennials who are now in like their fucking 40s, they're the same age, but whatever. These goddamn kids nowadays cutting off their parents, this is a pandemic, this is ridiculous, this is what's wrong with the world. No, motherfucker. Do you think a child genuinely wants to cut off a parent? Do you have any idea how hard that is? How much the child from 0 to now longs for nothing else than to be connected with the 2 people that they love the very most in the entire world. They want that more than anything. And as Andrea just proved to us over on YouTube, and a couple of people proved to us here on TikTok today, it doesn't go away. And so you, the parent, have the power to heal that if you just, and I'm no longer talking about any particular guests who've written in today, but I'm just saying you have the power to heal that as the parent. As the adult child, you have the power to heal it too, but as the parent, you have the power to get the very thing you want. And that's that connection, but it requires swallowing your pride, and it requires atonement. Owning the shit, the pain that you've caused. And that's hard. As a parent, it's hard because it means admitting I wasn't the perfect, wonderful parent that I always want to believe that I am. And that was hard medicine for me to swallow as a parent. But we all got to do it. Rob?
Yeah, I think it's great. One of our listeners has the handle "This Bitch Here," which got you to say "This Bitch Here says." That sort of shocked me. I think someone should write into us with the handle "I'm a spineless turd,"
so that I will say
exactly.
I'm a spineless turd. All right, guys, listen, this has been a great show. Thank you for the questions. And we'll be posting clips from this show on social over the next several weeks. Love you guys. Thank you for your questions. On behalf of my team, Rob the Rocket sitting next to me and KC over in the booth, thank you for tuning in all across the world and have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.